and welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program in which we bring you closer to the realities and work of the Catholic Church in remote areas around the world, especially where she struggles to share her message as a result of discrimination or persecution, or simply to difficult conditions and circumstances. The Democratic Republic of Congo is the second largest country in Africa. It's said to be one of the richest countries in the globe in terms of mineral resources. Yet the Democratic Republic of Congo sits in the lowest places in the United Nations Human Development Index. This African nation has suffered for many years severe social instability that have turned into decades of violence. To tell us more about the situation and the work of the Church, it is my privilege to welcome His Excellency Felicien Ntambue, Bishop of Kabinda.
Yes.
Your Excellency, welcome to our program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talking about Congo, Your Excellency, it's such a vast territory. Where is exactly Kabinda, your diocese?
Well, Kabinda is one of the almost 50 dioceses of the Congo, and Kabinda is located at the center of the country. That says a lot of the situation of Kabinda. It is a diocese big as twice Belgium, more than twice Burundi, and it is inhabited by almost 2 million of people. Half of the population is Catholic. And in my diocese, I have a little more than 100 priests, 60 seminarians, about 20 young people getting ready to start the seminary, and 31 parishes. We are at the center of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, far away from everything. I mean, far away from the borders with other countries, far away from airports, far away from paved roads, and that's our situation.
Monsignor, we mentioned in the introduction that your country is in one of the last places of the United Nations Human Development Index. You have approximately a total of, if I'm not mistaken, around 88 million people in the country. What is the situation of the majority of the population?
I am from the Congo, and yet I'm very surprised to see how poor the population is. I've been to many other countries like Taiwan, where I have been a missionary, Singapore, Hong Kong, Belgium, and Italy. And when I have been appointed as bishop in the Congo, in Kabinda, I was really shocked. Poverty is really a scandal. People just do not have what they need for their fundamental needs. Eating is a problem. Sending kids to school is a problem. Getting medication is a problem. Everything is a problem there. Every day we have to face problems. Every day we live a kind of permanent insecurity. I do not mean insecurity with regard to war, but insecurity with not knowing what am I going to eat today. Yes.
I'm going to share a quote with you that I found, and this is from U.S. representative, and it is during a hearing in the American Congress. And he says this about a particular situation in Congo. The Chinese Communist Party's quest for cobalt, for batteries and lithium, for solar panels to power the so-called green economy motivates human rapacity, as an estimated 40,000 children in Congo are working in artisanal mines under hazardous conditions. How could this happen? Monsignor? Where are the international organizations taking care of human rights, and how could this happen so blatantly in Congo?
I think the Congo, the country, is a victim of a big international complicity. In this quotation, only China is pointed out, but there are also Western powers that are behind the looting of the minerals in the Congo.
And this is very important, Your Excellency, that you're pointing out that it's not only one country doing all this damage to the territory.
It's not only China, there are also Western countries, Western international companies that are very much involved in the looting of the Congo. Now, for instance, it's very clear that Rwanda is illegally exploiting the minerals of my country, but who is behind Rwanda? It's not China, it's Western countries.
And this has a significant impact in the living conditions of the people.
Yes, yes. But I also think that that's not the only one reason behind the poverty of the population. The country, the public administration has a lot to do to serve its population. There are many other countries in the world that are developed without having mineral resources.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Going in that direction, Your Excellency, what is the role of the government trying to control the outburst of violence, probably not specifically in your diocese, but particularly in the northeast of the country? Is the government capable of controlling this violence?
Seemingly the government is not capable of controlling. The government, especially these 3 last years, has shown a great will to control the situation and to bring back peace for the whole country. But the situation of the Congo is very complex. For many years, the Congo has not had a good army, for instance. There are foreigners from other countries who are members of the army. And this makes the situation very, very complex. The government is trying to do its best. I think I can say that, and this is correct, but it doesn't have enough means. Bringing back peace, every country needs to have a strong army. And this is not yet the reality in my country.
What happened with the presence of the United Nations armies? Have they been helpful for this situation?
It's a delicate matter. You must have seen that the population in different parts of the eastern part of the Congo has been asking for the United Nations to leave the Congo because it has been 2 decades, 20 years that the United Nations have had most of its contingent. I don't know if it's said like that in English, most of its people in the Congo, and yet we do not have peace. So the people are asking, what's the good of having them?
Might be an unfair question to you, but why would be your speculation about it? Why it didn't work? Why it didn't bring positive results?
It's quite complex, I think. On one hand, there is the mission of the United Nations. Sometimes it has been said they are keepers of peace. And the people did not really understand what it means to keep peace. And so when the people has been attacked by foreign groups and rebels and so on, at times the people were disappointed to see that the United Nations corps were not doing anything. They were observers instead of protecting the people. Another thing is, it's also part of the reality. There are members of the population, sometimes even members of the army, who have betrayed the country, who have compromised, who have been in complicity with rebels and things like that.
When you talk about rebels, Monsignor, who are we talking about? Because yes, we hear in the news all these conflicts and the violence and kidnapping, but who is perpetrating all these crimes? Who are they? Do we know?
It is not easy to say who is behind all that. It is made clear nowadays that behind what is called rebels, there is Rwanda that has an advantage to create and promote insecurity in the eastern part of the Congo, so that Rwanda can have the possibility to be continuously looting the minerals,
exploiting the resources.
Mm-hmm. But there are also native people, Congolese, who have revendications, who are, so to say, rebels.
Now, another very difficult challenge that the church in particular is facing is the internally displaced people. These are families, complete towns that they have to move, trying to find a safer area because of all this violence and all these conflicts. Have you had this, particularly in your diocese, have you had this challenge of dealing with internally displaced people?
Yes, we have had this challenge of tens of thousands of people moving from the eastern part and coming to settle in my diocese, yes.
And what kind of impact does this have?
It has a lot of impact because I give you one situation. They come, they have no land, they have nothing to eat, and they just go to the fields and they get whatever they can find in the field, and it's a way for them to survive. I cannot say that they are thieves. It's a matter of survival.
Right, they're not stealing, they're just trying to eat to survive.
Yes, but then what happens to the one who grew things in his field? We do not have war or insurrection in my diocese, but we have the consequences of war from the eastern part, yes.
If I may, I want to share a quote of one of your brother bishops, Bishop Melchizedek. He mentioned, quote, we need centers where people can go for therapy. Many people are traumatized. Many have watched as their parents were killed. There are many orphans and widows. Villages have been burned to the ground. We are in a state of utter misery. Can you tell us about why one of your brother bishops say something so painful?
All that he has said is correct. That's the reality. But from his diocese to my diocese, it takes maybe 2,000 kilometers. The situation in my diocese is quite different. We see people who are displaced. They stay in the diocese for months, sometimes for years, and then they leave. They go somewhere else. We ourselves as diocese, we have suffered a lot from war many years back, and we are still experiencing that suffering up to this day. At the time of war, the war that came up to Kabinda, and Kabinda was the last line of the war, the diocese lost nearly 3,000 cows. That was very, very important for us. And the diocese lost nearly 30 vehicles, and we were left without any vehicle. We still see the impact of war up to this day. When I became a bishop, I found only one car in the diocese.
To cover a territory of how many kilometers?
As big as twice Belgium.
With one car?
Yes.
What do you do, Monsignor? How can you attend to the souls of your brothers and sisters?
For more than a year, that one single car was at the service of the whole diocese. When I had to visit the parishes, I used the car. But when I came back to Kabinda, the treasurer used the car to attend to other needs of the diocese. Parishes are scattered everywhere, and priests use motorcycle on unpaved roads, sandy roads, muddy roads, and just imagine that a priest may travel 200 kilometers to come to Kabinda, because that's the only one place where he can buy a bottle of wine for Mass and some communions for the Eucharist.
The hosts.
Yeah.
It's a very challenging situation for your priests.
It's a very, very challenging situation. There are even parishes where two priests have to share one motorcycle. And I mean, a parish in my diocese is made of tens, at least 30, 40, sometimes 50 Christian communities, 50 villages. And when you are parish priest or assistant parish priest, your service is not limited to the place where you live. You have to attend and celebrate Holy Mass in all the villages.
These remote areas.
We cannot expect that a priest will be walking from one village to another village. At least a motorcycle is needed. Not only a motorcycle, we think that as a diocese we need at least 2-3 big cars, trucks. I told you I have 60 seminarians. Only half of them study philosophy in Kabinda. Those who are studying theology, they have to go to the seminary in Chumbe. It's at least 500 kilometers. Or else go to Kananga, that's 350 kilometers. And a truck would help us to bring them to the seminary, and at the end of the school year, to get them back to the diocese for a kind of pastoral experience. We live in a place where there is no public transportation. There is no bus, there is no train, there is nothing. And actually, when the villagers see a car, it's most probably a car, the car of the diocese.
Monsignor, we had the opportunity to send one of our teams not long ago, and I was very impressed, Your Excellency, very moved, very touched to see the faith of Congolese people. You know, they were recording some of the masses and some of the celebrations, and I was thinking, how could these people living in such dire conditions have such hope, faith, and enthusiasm to live their lives as Christians? How can you explain that, Your Excellency?
I don't know how to explain that, and I may say this is something, as you say, very touching and very consoling.
Yes.
It takes sometimes one day travel for me to get to a parish, 200, 300 kilometers. I start my trip from the morning and I travel to cover 200-300 kilometers, one full day traveling. Imagine, you get there very, very tired.
Exhausted.
And on the road, there is no place where you can buy a Coca-Cola to drink, or you need to prepare everything to travel with. But when you get there, exhausted as you can be exhausted, you get consoled. You get a great consolation, because when the bishop arrives, everything stops. People do not go to the fields to farm. People do not go to the office. They wait for the bishop, and they welcome the bishop, singing, shouting with joy. And the Mass is really a big feast, a big celebration. If I would celebrate a Mass for 1 hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours, people would not be happy. They would ask me, why are you rushing? We want to hear the word of God.
And they're so beautiful, Your Excellency, for what I've seen with their costumes and it's the gospel in the culture, really, inculturation of the gospel. And it is beautiful, and as you said, I like that word, consoling, to see that it's not so much about the circumstances of your life, but what is inside you, what is in your soul, what gives you joy.
Yes, yes, yes. I get very much encouraged, not only by the help I get providentially, especially from you, the help to the church in need, but also I get very much encouraged by the people I serve. You know, when they hear the bishop is coming, I tell you the truth. People may walk 20 kilometers to come to attend the Mass, and after the Mass still walk 20 kilometers under the sun, and if there is no sun, under the rain. And they are happy. They are happy. And this is God's grace at work in His people.
We're running out of time, Your Excellency, but I don't want to finish our conversation without talking about sisters. Because, you know, in many, all over the dioceses in the world probably, consecrated women, nuns, religious women, have a very, very important role in the life of the church. What is the reality for you?
You know, people have the feeling of having been abandoned by public administration. They expect the church to do everything for them, not only teach catechesis, not only build churches, but it's one of the main expectation of the population that the church will build for them schools, medical centers, and that's the area in which the sisters, the religious women, are very much expected to be very active.
And in education, that's where the change really is going to happen.
Yes, and this is one of my top priorities, because it just happens that we have many big villages where kids have no school. We are trying our best to build schools. For the 2 years I've been there, with the help of some people, very, very small help, we helped more than 10 villages build schools. It's still not the schools the way I like them, but the help consisted in giving them metal sheets. They themselves build the walls, and we give them metal sheets.
For the roof.
For the roof, yes. And we still have many villages where we need to build a school, because there are kids at the primary school who can walk up to 10 kilometers a day to go to school, and then 10 kilometers a day come back home.
Your Excellency, it has been a very, very moving, very touching conversation. And what would you like our audience, our viewers, our listeners to know about Congo? What would be your last message for the Universal Church?
I think the Church has got a huge opportunity in the Congo in terms of growing. We are a young church. We only have 100 or a little more than 100 years as a church. We are quite a young church. We have a good opportunity of building churches, building Christian communities, and not only building the buildings like this, but really helping our brothers and sisters get mature in Christian faith. The people are demanding, they are waiting for the church to help them. And we are also in a situation where many things are happening. I could tell you this, the expansion of Islam. I never saw this before, but Muslims are building many mosques. It is a phenomenon we are observing. When I grew up in my country, in the Congo, I never saw a mosque anywhere. But now in Kabinda itself, we have 3 mosques. They get a lot of help from the Middle East. And all these people who came as United Nations Corps and those who are building the roads now from Egypt and so on, they are building mosques. And you know, they have a way of doing that. They look for roundabout, very accessible places. That's where they build the mosques. Yeah. We even have Islamic schools now in Kinshasa, with young boys and young girls, Congolese girls, veiled.
Going to the madrasas.
Yeah. And it's easy for them to go there because it's free education, and they get also some help for their food and things like that.
So there is a significant, robust financial support for all this expansion of Islam.
Yes.
Well, Your Excellency, thank you very much for having this time with us, and I'm sure that our audience, our viewers, will be very touched with your needs, but also with this so inspiring, strong faith of the Congolese people.
Yes. I hope. But one thing is, come to the Congo. Now you have heard, but I guess that if ever you come and you spend 1, 2, 3 weeks with me traveling to the village, you'll get one sickness. The sickness you will get is when you come back here, you will still need to go.
You go back. It's a promise, Your Excellency. We will be there. We will be there with you.
Thank you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us in another program of Where God Weeps. If you want to know more about the work that the Church is doing in Congo, we encourage you to contact the information at the end of this program. Thank you, and God bless.